okay, so that was the experience the first time around, and then decided to try and get pregnant again, or decided it's time to, talk us through the next part.
Yeah, I didn't want to for a long time because I didn't enjoy the first experience.
Yeah.
But as time went on, I really wanted my daughter to have a sibling. I'm an only child, and that wasn't terrible, but I just always liked the idea of if I had a child that they would have a sibling.
Mm-hmm.
And we still had 2 embryos frozen from
That's
our round of
right.
IVF. So we didn't have to do another round of IVF, and I wouldn't have done another round of IVF because I just found it so difficult. But we still had these 2 frozen embryos, and the clinic still had our plan. So it was after about 4.5 years we decided to. And we thought that would be good timing too, because our first daughter would be going off to school.
So did you pay privately again for this with the same company up in
Yeah,
Auckland?
yeah, but having an embryo transfer is minimal cost. Like, you've already done the IVF and everything, so
Yeah, but you still go back up to Auckland and go through them.
yeah. But it would only be an overnight thing. Like, you could have gone up same day even. I just had to do blood tests every day here.
Yeah.
To check when I was going to ovulate. And then they would know, and we'd get a couple of days warning for when that was going to be based on my daily blood tests, and fly up to Auckland, and they would do the embryo transfer. I didn't have to go through any hormones or anything again. So it was a lot simpler.
Yeah.
What wasn't simple was the pandemic. So we had been through the first lockdown and all of that, and we'd come through that, and you remember there was
the separate Auckland lockdown.
For most of the country, there was this big period of time where things were quite normal. I think Auckland was still in limbo, but the rest of the country was quite good for a long time. So we thought that was all good. And we planned to go to Auckland. I was doing the blood tests and everything, and then there was a case or something in Auckland.
Yeah.
So they went into their own lockdown. And,
I remember that.
And it was going like every day. Jacinda and Ashley Bloomfield would be on the news giving an update. And the clinic said to me, like, if we're in level 3, like level 4, nothing happens. Level 3, you can get like a medical exemption to come to Auckland on your own, wearing a mask, doing all the bells and whistles. We can still do the embryo transfer.
Yeah.
Level 2, it's kind of normal again, right? So I was like, oh, I don't want to have to do all that on my own and wear a mask.
Without your husband.
Yeah, like, I think he could have come up as well, but he would have to like wait outside the clinic and everything. Thankfully they dropped into level 2 just in time. So it was very stressful, but I was getting calls every day from their nurses or the counsellor or something, like with updates on my blood tests and also the situation they were in, because they were still learning day by day what was going on. And, you know, they were trying to, I didn't want to have to wear a mask. So they were like, look, we'll all wear masks and you don't have to, this kind of thing. Especially because I was coming from a region that didn't have any COVID.
Yeah, true.
But they went into level 2, so it was pretty normal. Like, they had to wear masks. I didn't. That was about it.
Yeah, it's good that they listened to you in Auckland. It sounds like they were really putting your best interests in what would help you at the forefront.
They were really good. So we went up. We did that. We came back. And it was interesting because I got pregnant with that embryo.
Yeah.
So this is pretty amazing already, getting pregnant with 2 embryos from one round of IVF. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. So I knew I was pregnant. I hadn't really told anyone yet, apart from my husband.
Did you tell people prior that you were going to go back to try again?
I chose not to this time. Told a couple of friends.
Yeah.
But that was it. I chose not to this time. We chose not to. we had to make up elaborate stories for like our parents as to why we were catching an airplane at this, crazy time in the world. And we knew we couldn't just not say anything because our 4-year-old at the time would say something.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, I can't even, just chose not to say anything this time. Just, I felt I wanted to keep it to myself more.
Yeah.
I don't know, the pressure, felt pressured, especially at a time where everyone's so weirdly focused on health and everything.
Yeah, the pandemic did that.
we went and we got pregnant, and but it was weird because we got pregnant in Auckland, right? And it was weird because the pregnancy, the embryo, so the baby would be born 5 years after our first daughter, but was conceived on the same day.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That sort of stuff blows my mind, eh?
I know. Blew my mind.
Yeah.
And but that had happened in Auckland, so that meant we had been in Auckland. So that meant everywhere we went, we would be asked if we had been in an area that had COVID restrictions, and we would have to say yes, and then we would be treated like probably like Aucklanders were at the time, But that's okay. It was a lot worse for them than it was for us. We got pregnant. I didn't freak out. I didn't feel the anxiety that I felt the first time because I knew what to expect this time. We got in touch with our midwife from the first pregnancy, and she was happy to be our midwife again.
Amazing.
Yeah. It looked a little bit different this time because you couldn't go to each other's houses, like all this weird
COVID restrictions.
But we could go see her at a clinic, and did
you have to wear masks at this stage? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think we did, but it was kind of, you could then choose not to in the appointment kind of thing. But
so you were like, it wasn't something that was, triggering you wearing this mask and needing to wear it, or
we just kind of wear it going into the building, talking to reception, and then it was okay.
That's cool.
As I got more pregnant, it became harder, not from a triggering point of view, but just I was finding it hard to breathe, where baby was sitting or whatever. So that was hard, being breathless and wearing a mask. But so we got pregnant. There was, by this point, like when I talked to my midwife on the phone first, when we first, found out, and I was like, I just don't want to have to go through all the drama again of like fighting for what I need. And she's like, so much has changed now. There was an ultrasound technician that opened up nearby, so ultrasounds were never a problem, but we could go and see someone that would be the same person each time, and he was actually the husband of my physio, so it felt more friendly. And she said there was actually a team at Wellington Hospital now of midwives that supported people who had cesareans. There was a team of female obstetricians. There was all the stuff had changed in 4 years. She's like, you don't need to worry. And also because I'd had a previous cesarean, that meant I could choose to have another cesarean, which I knew was what I wanted. So I felt it was completely different. Like it was a harder pregnancy physically. I was 40 or something at the time. And I immediately had a lot more pain physically. That was harder, but mentally it was night and day. I didn't have that fear. I had phone consults with the obstetrician very early on, and we booked in a cesarean for 39 weeks. No questions asked.
Not pushing against the people the whole way along.
I was referred to maternal mental health as a precaution, but I was declined because I was all right.
Even though you've been under them previously.
Yeah. I had access to a nurse under the regular mental health team if I needed.
Were you still on medication for the PTSD and things?
Yeah. Yeah, just decided.
And the blood pressure was fine?
Yeah, it was the same. It was just take medication for it forever, but it was controlled.
Yeah.
And it was fine right through, like, you know, whenever I got it checked. So yeah, I had it all set up and I had it all planned. I would go along to the ultrasounds, but it was funny times. I would have to go alone. Husband would have to wait outside.
Yeah.
So that was always nerve-wracking because, especially to begin with, when I couldn't feel her moving, I would just have this worry that it had ended, like especially early on. And I was always just worried that he would have to tell me, like
while you're alone,
sound guy, sonographer. I was like just worried that he would have to tell me that the pregnancy had ended and that would be difficult for him. Like I was always so worried about the other people.
Not yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was fine. Every time it was fine. It just kind of went on. We went into a lockdown. The Delta lockdown hit. And it was difficult. Like, it was nice being able to just go home and not have to go anywhere anymore. But it was difficult because I couldn't access any of my care anymore. Everything was on the phone. You know, I couldn't have any follow-up appointments because I was still under the obstetrician team just as a high-risk pregnancy because of my blood pressure, my age. So I couldn't see anyone in person. And yeah, it was just a lot of going for walks around the neighbourhood.
Yeah, because you weren't working. Was your husband working? Or just staying at home? And your daughter?
He was working, but he worked from home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right since the start of the pandemic. So, yeah. But daughter was home from daycare. Just those weird times for everyone, I guess.
Yeah.
We came out of the lockdown and we were going away. So my husband's work, they had to go away for a bit. So my daughter and I were going to be going up to the Coromandel. And this was like right at the end of the pregnancy. And so we saw my midwife at like 35 weeks. And she was like, everything's great. Like, your pregnancy is great. This baby will come. Like, there's no signs that she's going to come early, but just take some little clothes just in case, kind of thing. But everything's good. We'd seen the sonographer. He'd got the heartbeat. Everything was fine. I had a bit of extra fluid, like polyhydramnios, but not a lot. Like, it wasn't a worry. It was just there would be extra fluid. I don't know. So I was feeling very heavy and out of breath and just in stages.
Yeah.
So over it. But mentally okay.
Baby tracking small like your older daughter, or with the blood pressure stuff?
It was interesting because my older daughter, like, she never tracked small on the ultrasounds. It was just only when she was born. Yeah, I don't know, like, or the growth thing was always seemed to be perfectly fine. And so second daughter, everything was just like fine. It was always like 50th percentile or 75th.
Yeah.
I did have this extra fluid, which I think made it hard to tell exactly. But on all the scans, she was always fine. She was flapping about doing, you know, all of that. But I didn't feel her as much, I think, because of all the extra fluid.
Yeah. That
was inside. But they said there's not a risk, like the fluid wasn't causing a risk or anything.
Yeah.
At that point. And so we went away. But on the way, like, we got the plane. We flew from Wellington to Tauranga. And like sat on the plane next to a stranger, my husband and daughter together. And I was like looking at my belly and it was moving like mad. Like, it used to happen with my first daughter, like but it didn't happen with my second one. And I was like, oh my God, like, this guy next to me must think, what's she growing in there, right? And I was like, it feels like she's having seizures, like, while the plane was flying the whole way from Wellington to Tauranga. So what is going on? Is she okay? But when we landed, it stopped. So we got off the plane and I told everyone we were with. It's just kind of funny. I was like, I'm kind of worried, but it's also kind of it's fine again. Like, maybe it was just the aeroplane vibrations. I don't know. No one had said it was a problem to fly at that point. And so we carried on, and we went to the Coromandel, and there was a group of us. And just every day, you know, it was like uncomfortable, always uncomfortable. But that was the whole pregnancy had been like that. I had like such bad hip pain and pelvic pain, and it's just so desperate for it to be over. And the last few nights there, I was like, I'd lie awake, racing heart, like all these kind of physical signs of anxiety, but not the mental signs, just like my heart was racing, hot, I was cold, I couldn't sleep, I was itchy, I was like all these things. And I couldn't work it out, and I was like in my mind trying to do all this like meditation and gratitude, like just trying to anything to calm down. I was so worried.
And you thought it was anxiety?
Yeah.
Or you kind of weren't sure because you weren't sort of the mental anxiety, it was just the physical symptoms?
I thought it must be. I thought it must be, but I couldn't work out why, except just that I was over it. Like I was just like, I'm so over this. I don't want to be pregnant anymore, but it's almost over.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, like, is she moving? And I couldn't work it out. And I was like, well, she's moved. Like, she's in a different position, right? She must be moving. And then she would move, and I'm like, all is well. And then I was like lying there all night, like, is she moving? Like, I don't know. So I'm Googling in the middle of the night, like, you know, my baby's due, but she's not moving. And Google's telling me it's okay. They run out of room when they're due. They're too big. There's no room. You don't feel them move so much. You've got extra fluid. You won't feel them move so much. All is well. And I was like, okay, it'll be all right. But I was like awake all night. And I realized that all my pain had stopped on the last night. I was like, why am I not in pain? Why is all the pain in my hips and my back gone? Like, I felt that from the second I was pregnant. Like, even before she had grown, it was like my body had morphed immediately into this pregnant person with pain, but it had stopped. And I was like, that is weird. Is she dead? Like, that was my thought. Is she dead? Because all the pain had stopped. And I was like, that was that weird thing a few days ago on the plane. Like, did she die? Oh, but she was moving. But was she? Like, I was just
it's so hard to think about it, eh? And recall.
So I was Googling it in the middle of the night. Google, like, no use. But I was like, I don't know what else to do. I don't even know where we were. Whangamata. Like, I don't even know
somewhere remote.
It was remote, and it was a down gravel road kind of thing.
Yeah.
There was no, I didn't know what was I going to do. I didn't want to tell anyone because what were they going to do? Which is silliness. Like, I should have, but that was my thinking. I don't want to worry anyone else. In the morning, I text my midwife, and I think, you know, she had always told me, if you need to get hold of me, ring me, don't text me. And it was Labor Day too, and I think I knew something's wrong, but I'm in denial. I'm going to text her, like, it's like I knew she wouldn't reply, but that would make it okay. So I text her, and I was like, I don't think I felt her move all night, but Google says it's okay. What should I do? Like, I was trying not to be alarmist, but and I think because I didn't know what I could do where I was. And she didn't reply, so I was like, there's nothing else I can do in this situation. We just need to go home. So we were leaving that day, and we
meant to leave, like planned to leave then. And you still haven't told anyone what you're thinking?
No. I think I'd mentioned to my husband that I felt like she was moving less, but I didn't want to worry our daughter or the people that we were with or anything. I thought I would just wait till we got somewhere where I could go and ask someone. I didn't know what that would look like, but so used to that period of time, was so used to it being where you don't go and ask for help. Like with the pandemic, it was like everyone just had to figure stuff out for themselves, and we were away from home. So I was like, we'll just have to wait till we're home. We'll sort it out when we get home. So we drove back to Tauranga. We had quite a long wait before our flight. So we went to a cafe at the Mount, and I was like, right, we'll get a nice cold drink, we'll get some spicy food, you know, all these things that you read about. And I've got a photo of like this like mocktail that I got that's like blue, sugary, icy, you know. So I was like, that'll do it.
All the things that they say to help babies move, right, and feel.
Yeah. And, you know, and nothing happened. And I was like freaking out in my head, but not showing it. So I've got to do something. So we walked back to the car and I'm still like not feeling any pain. And I'm thinking that is weird. Like, I don't understand why I'm not in pain.
Yeah.
And then we were in the car and my husband was driving and I was talking on my baby group. I was like, hey guys, anyone else experiencing this?
This is your due group, like people that are around the same, they're around the same time?
Yeah. I was like, is anyone else experiencing this weird thing? No one was. And everyone's like, get to the hospital. Like, this is bad.
Yeah.
So I said to my husband, I was like, can we just swing by the hospital?
Yeah.
And no one's just swung by the hospital during the pandemic, right? There was no go. So we tried to find a doctor first, but it was Labor Day and there was nothing. So we drove to the hospital and my husband and daughter had to wait in the car. We texted my midwife again to tell her we'd gone to the hospital. And I went in on my own and I had to go through all the scan this, sign this, wear a mask. Like,
was this when there was a tent outside and everything? Like all of that?
Yeah. And people in hazmat suits and And I was really pregnant though, so they kind of let me jump the queue. I think they could tell something was up. And I went to the desk at ED and I told them what was going on. And they rang the maternity ward and they were like, send her straight up. So to go back through all of that to go up to maternity. And I was on my own. It was pandemic and it was Labor Day, so there was very skeleton staff. And I was met by a wonderful midwife and doctor. And thankfully there was no one else around. Like the place was empty. And I think I already knew by then, like I said, I think my baby's died. And they were like, oh, no, you know, pregnant people kind of thing. They didn't say that, but that was, you know. And it's like on one hand, half my brain was like, she's died. And the other half of my brain was like, babies don't die like that. They're just going to tell you you're being a silly pregnant person. Go home.
Yeah.
Don't waste time. So anyway, they got out the Doppler and that was haunting. It was silent. And I was like, oh my God, like there was no cord whooshing sound. There was nothing. And they were like, maybe it's broken. Where's the volume? This is not my normal shift, you know, like the doctor didn't normally work in there. They got another machine and that was silent too. And I was like, it's like, you can say it. I think she's died. And they were like, no, we'll get an ultrasound, like a bedside ultrasound. So off they go. And I'm texting my husband. He's down in the car.
So no one's sitting with you. You're by yourself.
Yeah. Well, I think the midwife was still there while the doctor went to find the ultrasound machine. And I text my husband. He's in the car with our daughter. And I was like, I think she's died. Like, they're not saying that yet, but there's nothing on the Doppler. And so he's like, I'll ring the midwife. So he gets on the phone to our actual midwife. Meanwhile, they get this ultrasound machine. Doctor's busy trying to, but she's like, I don't normally work in maternity. I don't really know how to use this, but we need to get a technician in. That'll take 2 hours or something. But you could just see her floating there, right?
They're like, your baby floating there?
Yeah. They're like, we're trying to find the heart. Where's her heart? And I was like, you know, you get used to seeing your babies on ultrasounds, right? And they're moving.
Yeah.
Even if you can't feel it, they're moving. They're waving arms and legs. Even if you can't see the heart right away, you can tell that they're. Yeah. But she was like, her back was at the top and she was just lifeless floating. And I was like, it's the most haunting thing I've ever seen. And I was like, you can say it, like you can say it. And they were like, oh, you know, we think your baby has passed away. And they were asking me what her name is and all of this. They were like, you should get your husband to come in now. Like, now it's an exceptional circumstance. And they were so apologetic about that the whole time that I was having to be there on my own. Like, they were gutted for me. And it's just how it was, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't have to wear a mask or anything. They were trying to make it as good as they could for me. But So yeah, they I don't know, my husband and daughter turned up. Whether, I don't know if they just came in or someone got them or whatever.
Yeah.
And at that point, like, they're crying. The nurse and doctor, no, midwife and doctor are crying or almost crying. And I just felt like the same as when my first daughter was born. It was not me that it was happening to. I was watching it through glass or on TV. It was another family. I totally separated from it. I dissociated from it. And we had to ring our mums to tell them. And again, same thing. Like, I just felt like I needed to act or I needed to pretend, even though it was real.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to protect everyone else, I think. And my brain was trying to protect me. And it was such a surreal experience. And we were in survival mode then. Like, we needed to get back to Wellington because if we gave birth up there, we would be stuck there and we didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
Then
it's a whole nother layer to this whole thing, right? Like,
yeah. And our daughter wasn't allowed in the hospital generally. Like, she was allowed in there right that moment, but if I went and had surgery and hung out on the ward, she wouldn't be allowed there because of the pandemic and all of that. So they did all kinds of blood tests on me to check that I wasn't septic or something. And they contacted Wellington Hospital and they talked to my midwife, and my midwife was on the phone busy telling them, Sarah's got PTSD. Don't touch her without asking. Make sure you keep, let her have space, this and that and the other. I didn't even know she was doing it, but she was busy like telling them what I needed, which is so sweet.
Advocating for you, right? Like, that's so perfect.
Even in that moment when, the worst has happened.
Yeah, just to think about you and your care and what you need and just championing that for you was
amazing.
Yeah.
And so they got on the phone to Wellington Hospital, who said that we could fly back in the morning because it was quite late at night by now. We could fly back in the morning as long as I didn't start showing any signs of sepsis or infection.
So when you say fly back, you mean like a commercial flight, not even like a hospital flight?
Yes, in New Zealand.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we could book a flight and present straight away to Wellington Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So we stayed the night in this motel by the hospital. Just
Which
acting
would have
normal.
been hard in COVID times as well, right?
Yeah, we just had to act normal. Like, hi, can we book a room? Well, no, my husband went off and organised all of that, and then because I had to have a million blood tests and check that I was okay physically. And then I went and joined him and our daughter.
Did you see a social worker or a psychologist or like any mental health support in Tauranga?
No, nothing. There was no one. Just saw this doctor and this midwife.
And that was it?
Yeah.
And you've gone through this. And
sat me down. Well, I was sitting on the bed. She sat down. She's like, are you listening to me? You need to listen to me. She's like, I don't think you got to pay proper attention to me. And I was like, what? She's like, you need to know that it's not your fault, and that even if you'd come to the hospital yesterday or the day before, it wouldn't have changed this outcome. Like, there's nothing you've done to cause this. And I was like, I wasn't even thinking about that at that moment, but she obviously was used to this and knew that I would start having those thoughts. But that's what we got. I think they were concerned. They were definitely concerned, but they were
COVID times.
They do. Yeah. So we flew home in the morning, and that was difficult.
Yeah.
We were at Tauranga Airport waiting for our flight, and our daughter wanted to go to the toilet. So I went with her, and we walked into the toilets, and I'd caught myself in the mirror, big pregnant belly. I'm still wearing a maternity dress, and I was like, what the?
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't moving anymore. Like, it was really weird. And I thought, if anyone walks in here and asks when I'm due or can they touch it or something, I'm going to punch them.
Yeah.
And like, it's no one else's fault, but I was so angry. I was angry at this point that I still had this belly. Like, why am I carrying this around right now? And I know that some people whose babies have died actually don't want to lose that, and they want to, I don't know, I did not. I wanted this over. I wanted
you just didn't have any choice. You didn't have any choice in the situation.
Me out and wake me up after she'd been delivered.
Yeah.
But we still had to get back. So we'd fly back on the plane, and I started getting scared that the plane would take off and that she would start flapping about again, like first time. Even though that would be a good thing, right?
Yeah.
I was scared that was going to happen, because then I wouldn't know what that meant. Like, it was weird.
Yeah.
Like, I desperately wanted her to wake up, but at the same time, I was kind of coming to terms with reality and like, what would that mean? And it was weird. So we flew back. We drove to Wellington Hospital, and daughter's not allowed in. So husband has to leave me there at Wellington PD and drive our daughter an hour and a half to his mum's house. Leave me there, waiting. So I had 12 vials of blood taken to test me for absolutely everything. They wanted me to go home and come back in 3 days for surgery.
Why?
Because it's an elective cesarean, and that was when there was room on the list. I was like, I don't want to have my baby in my belly anymore. Like,
yeah.
They said we can induce you, and that'll take a couple of days. I was like, I'm having a cesarean, but I don't want to go home for 3 days. What am I going to do? Like, I couldn't comprehend that. And again, some people want to do that. They want to have that time with their baby. I wanted her out.
Yeah.
Choice. And I was getting angry every time I went to the bathroom and saw myself in a mirror, or every time I looked down and saw her. So in the end, though, because we live an hour from the hospital, they were worried that if I went into toxic shock in the meantime, if we went home, I wouldn't be able to get back to a hospital in time. So they decided they'd do it as an emergency. And so, yeah, my husband was gone to take our daughter to his mum's. He and I'm sitting in a delivery room, complete with a water birth bath thing and a breastfeeding stuff on the wall and everything, with my dead baby in my belly.
And you're completely alone?
Yeah. I was in there alone. I was waiting. My midwife turned up with her backup midwife. They drove down an hour. She didn't have to. She decided to. And she told me that she was going to drive up to Tauranga to find me, but then heard that we were flying back. She's amazing. And her backup midwife sat with me. And my husband made it back just in time for surgery. So I had opted this time to have general anaesthetic. I didn't want to be awake when she was delivered.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't want to have to see everyone's reactions when they delivered a stillborn baby. I was, again, worried about how hard that would be for everyone else.
Yeah.
I guess because I was feeling so numb to the whole thing.
Was there any sort of pushback for the GA, or was it kind of just fine?
In fact, I was told in Tauranga, actually, again, this midwife and doctor told me that I could choose, I could have whatever I liked, because there was no risk of it harming baby, or there was no extra risks. I could have GA if I wanted to. So I said I do. And yeah, so they did that. So my midwife stayed in surgery with me. My husband couldn't because I had the GA. So he waited in recovery with backup midwife. And he said it meant he could talk to her about what to expect, because you don't know what to expect when your baby is going to be already have passed away. You don't, what is that going to look like? I was too scared to ask anyone, what is she going to look like? Yeah. I was worried. All I'd seen was episodes of Call the Midwife, right?
Yeah.
And stillborn babies back then came out looking not good. And so we didn't know. I just wanted to be asleep. So when I woke up, and my midwife was there. And they brought my husband in. He was holding our daughter. And he brought her over to me, and I was quite groggy and everything still. And so he had some time after she was delivered before I woke up with her in recovery room with the other midwife. And so he brought her to me, and he said that, I could hold her and everything. At that point, she just looked like she was asleep. She didn't look dead or anything like that. She looked like a freshly born sleeping baby.
Mm.
So her eyes were closed. They'd wrapped her in someone had put a nappy on her, and they'd wrapped her in a muslin thing with a hat on, like you would, I suppose, with a baby.
Yeah.
And he said, she's floppy. Like, that's what newborn babies are anyway. You've got to support their head, right? But this is like extra floppy. But she was warm. She was still, it hadn't been long. And so I held her. But it was weird. Like, I was scared to look at what her hair looked like. Someone came and took her hat off for me so I could see her hair. But I didn't know what was under things, what was under her clothes, what was. There was no obvious cause of her dying. Like, there was no cord situation or abruption or anything. And so I held her, but it was like, there's no one telling me to breastfeed or anything like that. And they're all very much like, you can choose what you want to do. If you want to change her nappy, you can. If you want to bath her, you can. I was like, why would I do any of that? Like, none of this is making any sense to me, kind of thing. They took us through to recovery, and we stayed for 2 nights from recovery to the maternity unit, same maternity unit. But they have a special room, which luckily had no one else in it at this point, but a Utakawa room. So it's separate to the regular ward. You can't hear any babies or mums.
That's good.
Yeah. And it doesn't have all the normal, you've got a newborn baby stuff on the walls. It has SANDS stuff, baby loss stuff on the walls. And they hooked me up with like a morphine. They were like, you don't need to be in any pain. Like, you can have all the pain relief, like, because I wasn't breastfeeding. It was quite different. And all the midwives that would come through, like, she was still in this cot next to us, but it was plugged in to a generator that was making it cold, called a cuddle cot. They've got something else now, but it was basically had ice packs in it. But otherwise it's like a Moses basket, I guess. And it was weird. Every midwife that came in, nurse, whatever, because there was a lot of people coming in to try and figure out what had happened. They were like, oh, she's so beautiful, what's her name? And I was like, she's dead, right? Like, but this is what they do. They're these amazing bereavement midwives, and they're right, she was beautiful. But I just couldn't get past the fact that they were all looking at my baby that's died. Like, do you all realise? And I appreciate it.
Did you have a name for her?
Yeah, her name is Zoe.
Did you have it at the time?
Yeah, we had named her, and it was one of the names that we liked for our older daughter but didn't use. So and so we, and they would all call her by her name. They didn't seem afraid to handle her or, do footprints and handprints and stuff. I was afraid. Like, I was like, is she going to break? Like, no one tells you. And the thing is, I didn't know this, and this is what I wish someone had told me about, was the condition, the state of their skin when they're born. Because she came out looking normal, like a baby when they're born. But after not very long, like, there was patches of her skin that were dark. And I was like, what is that about? And her fingernails and lips were going dark. And they said it's because she's passed away. And she's been in amniotic fluid for probably 48 hours by the time she was born, right? So you think about a body when it's in water. It's not good after a while, right? So these patches of her skin that had deteriorated, by the next day they started going darker. And I was like, but no one warned me about that, again, because it might not happen, or it might not look like that, or it might look worse. It might, and from handling her, from delivering her by cesarean, had damaged her skin more. It's just what happens. No one warned me, so I'm like, what is that? And I'm told, oh, that's because she had already passed away. She'd been dead a while. And I was like, a while? What does that mean? How long did I not know for? I got on the Google again. trying to work out what she should look like. What should she look like because I didn't know how long she had died.
Did they know?
No. And I kind of feel like it was when I realized I wasn't feeling any pain anymore. I reckon that I personally think that's when she died. And there's no science to back that up, I've been told. But for me, it's like my body's hormones had done something at that point.
Yeah.
And when I was having all these like panicking symptoms overnight and stuff, I reckon my body had gone into overdrive. So, but I was busy Googling, like, what would she look like at 24 hours or at 48 hours or something? And that was not a good rabbit hole to go down because I was finding, you can imagine.
Yeah.
And I was finding a lot of overseas stuff where they don't take so much care and compassion with their stillborn babies and families. Or I was finding medical school training stuff or like,
Google's helpful but not helpful at the same time, right?
I wish someone had just talked to me about it, like at the hospital.
Yeah. Was there any social worker or like support there?
No.
So you saw no one this whole time?
No, just the hospital midwives. I think that this was a sign of the pandemic because, I've done a lot of work with SANDS since, and they're saying, oh, someone, would come in and you'd get this and you'd get that. And I think it was just
pandemic.
The time. My midwife came in, but this was her first stillborn baby too. Like, so she didn't know what to expect. We had to decide really quickly things about autopsies.
Yeah.
That's not something you ever think about, a baby's autopsy. And I don't know why, but it comes down to the birth mother or the birth parent to sign the paperwork and consent to such things. Like, her dad was sitting right there the whole time, but he couldn't sign the paperwork. It had to be me. So even though we could make the decision together, I still felt like I'm the one that's consented to that. And I didn't know what to ask about a post-mortem on a baby because I don't know anything about post-mortems. It's not been part of my world. I was like, is it a good idea to have one or not? And the thing is, they kind of back up whatever you say you want to do. We want to take her home. That's a great idea. We want to not take her home. That's also a great idea. Great idea to have a post-mortem. Great idea not to. Couldn't get an answer because there's no answer. And they told us even if we did do a post-mortem, in like 60% of these cases, you never get a cause of death.
In 60%?
Yeah.
That's huge, eh?
Yeah. Unless there's like an obvious cause and accident or something. In the end, we decided to do it. I was too scared to ask questions like, what does that entail? What will she look like when she comes back? And then they said that they wouldn't be able to do it for like a few days. She would need to go and stay in the morgue.
Because of COVID or?
Yeah, because there was only one perinatal pathologist for the whole country. And she was on leave that day or something. So then I was like, well, we're not doing it then. Like, I don't want to just leave her here in the morgue. So then the pathologist came in after, like, she was not working, but she came in especially. So I was like, okay, we will. Like, there was no rhyme or reason to my decision making. It was just. So
I feel like understandable, right? You wouldn't know what to do, and there's no one sort of to guide you.
No, the social work would have been really useful.
Exactly.
We did it. And they brought her back, and then I felt really afraid. I don't know what's under her clothes now. I don't know what's under her hat. I don't know
what she looks like.
Happened to her. They, they cleaned her up and dressed her up and everything. But after the second night, she had deteriorated a lot more in how she looked, and we were trying to decide. Like, they were encouraging us to take her home to meet our daughter and parents and stuff. There wasn't any visiting or anything. And I didn't want anyone to visit, to be honest. And we were going to, but then I was like, actually, I think our daughter would be afraid. Like, I was quite afraid. She did not look like the baby that had been born. So we decided we didn't want to keep her body anymore. Like, it didn't seem fair to her anymore. She didn't look like it looked like she had wounds, like it
Mm.
was, there's no kind of embalming or anything, and I wouldn't have wanted that either, but yeah. So we said goodbye after 2 nights. We had a beautiful midwife who came. She was the charge midwife there, actually, and she talked to me about like keepsakes and making memories. Normally SANDS people would come and help with that, but pandemic.
Yeah.
Um,
Did
and
you
I
have
was
phone calls
actually,
with anyone? Sorry, did you have phone calls with anyone from SANS, or
no, I
a
didn't even
phone call
even
from a
heard of this.
social worker or anything?
No, just our
Just
midwife.
nothing.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of SANS.
Yeah.
There were booklets, right? But I was like, no,
Yeah.
I didn't even connect that I had a stillborn baby. Like, I didn't understand. I
Yeah.
didn't understand. To me, I thought stillborn babies were when you're in labor and they die in labor.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I thought a stillborn baby was. I didn't know what had happened. Like, I didn't have the words. And I didn't want the booklets because I felt like it was my fault. Like, I hadn't acted soon enough. So I was like, I don't deserve any of this stuff.
Yeah.
But there was a midwife that came and she told me that her son had passed away, like as an adult or a teenager or something. So a bit different, but that she had pushed everything away and someone had taken a lock of his hair for her to keep and given it to her, and she's so glad that she has that. And would
Yeah.
it be all right for her to do that for us? And would it be all right if she did hand and footprints? Because these were things that she could do. And I was like, yeah, whatever you like, go for it.
Yeah, because at the time you don't know what you want or you don't want or anything,
No.
right? And so it's like so nice to have
Um,
someone to do that, and if you can take it if you want it and, like look back on it,
yeah.
but
And she
yeah,
also
it's
got a
hard.
ribbon and cut it to the length of what Zoe was so that we could, we see how long she was,
Yeah.
this kind of thing. Our midwife, when we were in surgery, she took some photos of Zoe when she was first born, like you would when your baby's first born, the getting
Yeah.
weighed and this and that. And she didn't tell us, like, I was asleep. She took some photos. She took some photos also once I was awake, but I was pretty groggy and I was holding her and stuff. But she only told us later when she came around, she said, I've got these photos on my phone. I hope that's okay. If you want them, I can airdrop them to Richard. But if you don't want them, that's okay. I'll just keep them until you decide, And I thought that was really nice because
Yeah.
by that point I was like, I wish I had photos, but I didn't think to,
Yeah.
So, and Richard brought a few things home from the hospital that I had said no to.
Yeah.
And the wonderful midwife, I liked the charge midwife. She offered to be the one that took Zoe to the morgue, I guess. I didn't want to. Well, I couldn't walk, but
Yeah.
I didn't want to. We wanted to have her cremated, so we knew that. And she asked if it would be okay if she got a little. Someone makes them, these little quilts. Someone makes them and donates them to put on her, and then I could keep that after if I wanted. So we did that, and she chose one for me. Little things like that she just kind of did, but without pushing them on me. That
Yeah.
I still have it. It's still on my bed.
Yeah. And things you wouldn't think about, at the
So
time.
meaningful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we went home. We came back and we got mother-in-law dropped our daughter off because we hadn't been able to see her for 2 nights. She was worried.
Yeah.
Mum's gone to the hospital on her own. Baby's died. Now they're at the hospital. Like, everyone had shut her out. She was saying, why couldn't you just get me a mask and I could come in? It's like,
Yeah.
why? But yeah, post-mortem came back, I don't know, like 3 months later saying no cause of death. Unexplained stillbirth at term. Disorder of pregnancy was the discharge paperwork.
I've heard that language been used before, and it's like, yeah.
Like, what? Yeah.
Did your milk come in?
So it would have, but they offered me pills to stop it, and I took them, and it didn't come in.
Yeah. So that was offered to you.
Yeah, because I was offered pills, or if I wanted to express it to donate, I could, or whatever. I didn't. want it at all.
Yeah. All right.
You still deal with postpartum bleeding, even after a cesarean, deliver a stillborn baby. You still to deal with all of that. All of the hair still falls, all of the things.
Yeah.
And yeah, my midwife knew that I would struggle to connect to reality with anything of it, like really detached. And she said that she told me that a referral or like that maternal mental health would be notified that there had been this loss and that this was normal part of the course. And I was like, okay, well, that's good because could probably do with talking to someone.
Yeah.
Never heard from them or anything. And then when I looked into it, sure enough, if your baby dies, you are not eligible for maternal mental health care from Te Whatu Ora. You have to have a living baby in your care. And this is what we were in the paper about recently. Apparently, if you're under maternal mental health when you are pregnant and your baby dies, they will continue to support you and transition you to grief services. But I had been declined, their support.
In the beginning.
They did respond to our newspaper article and say that they refer people to grief services, but I never received anything.
Do you know if that was COVID related or just it didn't happen? Or?
They just don't. I was told at the hospital that I could see their counselling people. But even at the hospital, they acknowledged that most people won't because there's like a women's health clinic where the maternal fetal medicine clinic is, where the abortion clinic is, where all of that is. And it's the same counselling team. So, you'd be there while these people who are making these horrible decisions whether to continue their pregnancy, like they're dealing with that.
Yeah.
Dealing with these really difficult decisions, and then I didn't want to be there with my situation or other pregnant parents, maybe their baby's unwell. Like, I was like, why isn't this a separate thing? Like,
yeah.
I didn't want to go back to that building to see a counsellor,
So
that's
a huge thing, right?
Down.
Like going back to the same building where all these things have happened.
Yeah.
Is a lot.
So that's what's offered. And so they will say that they provide counselling, but I don't think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
And it's a different kind of grief. Like, I talked to a couple of grief counsellors. I did try. And I don't know, it's something about like when your baby dies in your body, that's another level. And then being so incapacitated postpartum, that's another level. I couldn't go for walks or do the things.
Yeah, because you're still recovering from the C-section and the surgery.
Yeah, and dealing with the loss of someone you never actually met or that other people hadn't got to meet is another level. And like having a child at home as well. Like, there's so many layers to it that none of the existing grief services seem to fit. It's just not the things.
That's so hard, eh? So how are you mentally postpartum besides everything else? How was the PTSD? Was that still status quo with everything else and medication and things? Or was there any other medications given? Well, you didn't really see anyone, did you?
No.
Just no support for you.
I just stayed on my antidepressant. I have an amazing GP. Got diagnosed with ADHD about a year later. I think what I discovered was that a lot of the issues I experienced after my first birth was actually ADHD, and this will be why it wasn't responding to the medication. And I ended up on quite a cocktail of medication after my first daughter was born, and nothing was really helping. And
helping with what? The mental state?
Yeah. And because what was being described as postnatal depression or anxiety or whatever, it didn't really fit what I thought it would look like. And granted, that's never a given, but I was struggling so much with the absolute overwhelm, sensory overload, couldn't stand to be stuck and trapped, wanted to escape, just like tearing my hair out. The sensory overload just drove me mad.
Yeah.
And I couldn't focus on what was the important thing, my baby. And then that happened again with the grief. The way it was presenting, it was like, in the way that I struggled in my pregnancies to just be pregnant and not be trying to escape it.
Yeah.
And then when I looked back over my entire life, I was like, hang on, this actually fits with what I'm reading about adult ADHD in girls and women. So I went through that process, and sure enough, I got diagnosed with it. And it made a whole lot more sense of it. It made me realize I wasn't just a crap mum to my daughter. It wasn't that.
The validating, right?
It was life-changing.
And
you know what? The loss of my second daughter, tragic and devastating and the worst thing I've ever been through. And it made me really grateful and connected to my living daughter in a way that I had never experienced before, and just absolutely feeling like she's an absolute miracle and I'm absolutely blessed to have her.
Yeah.
In ways that I didn't even click before. I guess I took it for granted. So I wish I had my second daughter as well. I wouldn't want to give up the connection that we now have. So that's complicated, but
yeah.
But yeah, so I wound up with, the ADHD meds, which have helped a lot more. I couldn't get any maternal mental health support. And that's hard because I was dealing with postnatal, postpartum, everything.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't have a baby, I was still dealing with postpartum world. I ended up finding local and national, NGOs and community groups, so like PARTA and Little Shadow, who support, pregnancy, or like Little Shadow provides counselling for new mums and pregnant people. But they were happy to set me up with one of their counsellors.
Did you seek these people out yourself, or was it kind of referred to you?
No one told me about them, and I never heard of them during my first pregnancy.
So you just Googled and found them.
Got on the good old Google
to
try and find something, anything, and found them and just reached out and and like, so I did get some counselling through Little Shadow. Like, I paid, but it was very reasonable. And PARTA, that, not counsellors, but I wound up actually connecting with them and going and speaking at a lot of their conferences and stuff that they hold. So yeah, and in Parliament, because there should be a perinatal bereavement pathway that was created. It was sent in to the ministers, and there was meant to be a response back in May
of 2025.
Yeah, and then there's nothing. So there was another article in the paper about that on Baby Loss Awareness Day, but yeah,
still nothing.
Minister Ducey has acknowledged that bereaved whānau should have support, but
it's getting things done, right?
Yeah.
So lots of my questions I feel like we've kind of covered throughout this whole story. So how do you feel now, more that time has passed through both of these pregnancies and postpartums and stuff? How do you feel now? How has life changed? How was the mindset around what happened? Talk us through that part.
Yeah, it's complicated because like I said, I wish I had both my daughters, but it has made me a lot more connected to my first daughter. So I'm weirdly grateful for that. I'm grateful to Zoe for connecting me with Ava. And I don't know how I would have coped if I didn't already have Ava. I haven't gone back to social work. It's put me, I was already doing kind of like working in a lived experience education role in mental health. So I teach at the medical school. I was already doing that, but it's really shifted what I talk about more towards perinatal mental health.
It's shifted since Zoe, or
since Ava and Zoe, yeah, both of them.
Yeah.
And since Zoe, yeah, like I've become more involved in advocacy and awareness spreading around baby loss, and it's so taboo, but it's actually not as uncommon as people think.
Yeah.
I've embraced my creative side more. I am a photographer, and when I became pregnant with Zoe, started noticing the night sky more. And so since she's passed away, I've just been going on a lot of adventures on my own. I don't feel afraid to be on my own anymore, and I like traveling on my own and hiking and photographing the night sky and connecting with her in that way. So it's kind of become more of more than a hobby, I guess. And I'm a jeweler. I create jewelry incorporating my daughter's ashes, and so I'm working towards being able to do that for other people. It's just kind of allowed me to have a purpose behind my art rather than just it's a hobby. I do struggle. I still struggle sometimes with the guilt around my loss and around my loss of connection with my first pregnancy, but I'm a lot more understanding about why that was. I have a lot more compassion. And then when I see, like, Hayley talked about that lack of attachment straight away, like, it's what I want people to realize is it can happen for so many reasons, and it's not uncommon. It needs to be talked about.
I know, and I don't know why it's not talked about, eh?
And Hayley and I have such different stories, but there was so much I related to in her story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you go back to social work after your first daughter?
I briefly did, but I just found I couldn't. No, I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to be commuting, and I didn't want to be. I wasn't going to get any downtime. Like if I was at work doing what I was doing all day and then coming home to a baby, it was too hard.
Yeah.
But I found I wanted to be more involved in the bigger picture things, so I didn't want to be working with people anymore. I wanted to be working with policy, and I really enjoy like educating and teaching and with the people who are going to be working with the people.
Yeah.
Dealing with stuff. Yeah.
It's crazy how motherhood just changes your life trajectory, right, and your career.
I always needed downtime, and this might be ADHD, I don't know, but I always needed, like when I was working, I needed the commute home and then time to myself to be quiet when I got home.
Yeah.
And obviously I didn't have that anymore once I had a lovely baby. So I've needed to kind of create it backwards, really.
Yeah. That's what my whole thesis is about. Motherhood, how motherhood changes women's lives, basically, in a nutshell. Career-wise, mainly. If there's one thing you could change about the system, what would it be?
I'm going to have two things. One being just not questioning. People shouldn't be able to question or judge pregnant people's choices or wishes or for what they need and want. Like
medical professionals, you mean?
Medical professionals and the public and just everyone.
Yeah,
like
sure.
If we know that this is right for our body or this is right for us and our baby, like unless it's going to physically cause a whole lot of harm, like we should be listened to and not told we're wrong. There needs to be more choice, autonomy and consent involved in the whole birth process, the whole pregnancy and birth process. We shouldn't have to fight for what we know we need for our mental and physical health.
And why do mothers not get a say about what's happening to them?
Yeah. Why do doctors and other healthcare professionals think they know best just based on their textbook? Like, it should be a consideration. Like, I definitely welcomed, I was happy to be told the risks of surgery, and all of that.
Yeah.
That's all good. But I shouldn't be told I'm wrong
for
what I knew I needed.
And the decision should be yours.
Yeah. So there's that, and system. So less fear around scaring and worrying pregnant people, and more awareness of what could happen. So awareness around I couldn't bond properly with my daughter, and that's okay, and what that might look like, that it might not be the so in love Facebook post.
Yeah.
And like when Zoe passed away, more awareness of what that actually means when they're born, how they're going to look, how they're going to feel, what these choices you have to make really quickly. Like, as I feel like people were too afraid to tell me ththings, and I was too afraid to ask things, and no one kind of connected the dots.
You probably also didn't know what to ask, you know?
No.
Because it's just all unknown. It's all new, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is there one piece of hope or encouragement you could give to listeners now that could be going through something similar?
I mean, I found the differences in my experience of both pregnancies, like of what was available to me regarding trauma-informed care. There was a lot more available to me the second time around than the first time. Pandemic aside, there was different teams set up, things like that. So that was hopeful. I don't know if that's the case for everyone, if I just got lucky there. But I think that more people are becoming aware of consent, informed consent. I think
patient-centered care.
Yeah.
That is hopeful. Those are my main questions and things. Anything else you wanted to share before we close it off?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you so much for sharing your story.
That's all right. Sorry it's so long.
No, it's been my heart goes out to you for everything you've been through and everything you've had to overcome, and just the challenges you've faced are just appalling, for a lack of a better word, with that doctor saying it's not going to be type situation. It's just insane. I mean, great by the sounds of it that things are getting better, but yeah, it's still a long way to go.
We shouldn't have to have a team of female obstetricians either. Like, the males should listen to what we know we need.
I know.
Balance it with the medical side of things. That's fine that he wanted to tell me the risks. That's all good.
Yeah, but also it's your decision. It's your body. It's your experience. You are the one that will have to live with it forever.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's your experience. So it should be you at the forefront of what happens to you.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, thank you again. That was so many amazing pieces of knowledge out there for people to listen to, and hopefully get some good sort of just thoughts and thinking and advice and knowledge, you know, which is what the aim of this is. So thank you very much. I will let you get back to your day.
Yeah, I can hear my daughter and my dog are back now.
Thank you.
Cool. Take